She was 48 at her daughter's wedding, when the billionaire best man asked her to dance, then never left. She was 48, divorced, and invisible. Tamara Hayes stood at her daughter's wedding reception, watching younger couples dance, trying not to notice her ex-husband with his girlfriend 3 tables away. The mother of the bride in burgundy, the woman everyone looked past. Then Harrison Cole walked toward her, 36, billionaire, her daughter's new brother-in-law, 12 years younger and completely, impossibly beautiful. She'd felt his eyes on her for months at the engagement party, during wedding planning, at the rehearsal dinner. But that was impossible. Men like him didn't notice women like her. Now he stood close enough to touch, voice low and certain. "You look beautiful tonight. Dance with me." Her breath caught. One dance with a younger man who somehow saw her when everyone else looked through her like glass. What could possibly go wrong? Welcome to our channel, where we bring you emotional stories that stay with you. If you're new here, hit subscribe and the notification bell so you never miss a story. And if you're returning, thank you. Your support means everything. Now, stay until the end, drop a comment with your thoughts, and let's begin. Tamara's fingers tightened around her champagne glass. She should say no, should smile politely and make an excuse about checking on the caterers or finding her sister, or literally anything that didn't involve stepping into Harrison Cole's arms in front of 300 wedding guests. "I don't think that's a good idea," she said, still not turning around. "Why not?" "Because you're 12 years younger than me. Because you're brilliant and successful and look like you walked out of a magazine. Because I've spent 3 years convincing myself I'm done with romance, and one dance with you might shatter that very carefully constructed lie. Because," she said instead, "the mother of the bride doesn't dance with the best man. It's not proper." Tamara. The way he said her name like he'd been practicing it, savoring it, made her turn despite herself. Harrison stood close enough that she could smell his cologne, see the gold flecks in his hazel eyes. "I've been trying to get you alone for 6 months. Dance with me, please." 6 months. Since the engagement party when Marcus had introduced them, when Harrison's handshake had lasted 3 seconds too long and his gaze had followed her around the venue like a physical touch, she'd told herself she was imagining it, projecting, a 48-year-old woman's desperate fantasy. Except he'd shown up at the bridal shower with flowers for the hostess, had volunteered to help with wedding planning and ended up spending 2 hours beside her, their shoulders brushing as they debated seating arrangements, had watched her at the rehearsal dinner with an intensity that made her drop her fork. "People will talk," Tamara said quietly. "Let them." Harrison held out his hand. "One dance. That's all I'm asking." That was a lie, and they both knew it. This man didn't do anything halfway. She'd learned that from watching him build a tech empire by 30, from the way Marcus talked about his older brother with equal parts admiration and awe. If she took his hand, it wouldn't be one dance. It would be the beginning of something she wasn't ready for. But God help her. She wanted to say yes. "Mama!" Ayana appeared at her side, radiant in white lace, her natural curls pinned up with tiny pearls. "Why are you hiding over here? You should be dancing." "I was just—" "Harrison's right," Ayana said, her brown eyes sparkling. "You look amazing tonight. That dress is perfect. Now go dance before the bouquet toss." Traitor, Tamara thought, but her daughter was already pushing her toward Harrison, who caught her hand with a smile that made her stomach flip. "See?" he murmured. "Even the bride agrees." The band shifted into a slow jazz number, Alicia Keys's "If I Ain't Got You," and Harrison led her onto the dance floor before she could protest again. His hand settled on the small of her back, warm through the silk of her dress. Her palm pressed against his shoulder, feeling the solid muscle beneath his tailored jacket. They started to sway. Tamara kept her eyes fixed on his collar, trying to maintain some distance, but Harrison's thumb traced small circles against her spine that made thinking difficult. "Look at me," he said softly. "Harrison, please." She lifted her gaze and immediately regretted it. He was looking at her like she was the only person in the room, like the 300 wedding guests had disappeared, like the 12 years between them meant nothing. "I need to tell you something," Harrison said, "and I need you to really hear me." Tamara's heart hammered against her ribs. "Maybe we should. I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since the day we met." His voice was low enough that only she could hear, intimate, despite the crowd around them. "At first I thought it was just attraction. You're stunning, and I'm sure you know that, even if you try to hide it. But then I watched you at the bridal shower, managing 20 women and making it look effortless. I saw you at planning meetings, solving problems, taking care of everyone. I listened to you talk about your bakery with this passion that lit up your whole face." "Stop!" The word came out barely above a whisper. I can't. Harrison pulled her closer, until their bodies pressed together, until she could feel his heartbeat against hers. I've tried. For 6 months, I've tried to be appropriate, to keep my distance, to convince myself this was just some passing thing. But it's not, Tamara. And I think you feel it too. She did. God, she did. Every time he walked into a room, her skin came alive. Every time their hands brushed over wedding details, electricity shot up her arm. Every time she caught him watching her, something warm and terrifying unfurled in her chest. But that didn't change reality. You're 36, Tamara said, forcing herself to be practical even as her body betrayed her, leaning into his touch. I'm 48. I have a daughter who just got married. I own a small bakery and drive a 10-year-old Honda. You're a billionaire who builds technology companies and probably dates supermodels. I don't date anyone. Harrison's hand moved from her back to her waist, his thumb brushing the curve of her hip. I haven't dated anyone seriously in 3 years. Do you know why? Tamara shook her head, not trusting her voice. Because I was building something, he said. I was focused, driven, convinced that romance was something for later, after I'd achieved enough, proven enough. And then I met you, and every single priority I had rearranged itself. The song shifted, and instead of letting her go, Harrison kept dancing, kept holding her. I don't care about age. I don't care what people think. I care that you make me laugh, that you're brilliant with numbers and terrible at hiding your emotions, that you hum Mary J. Blige when you're stressed. How do you? I pay attention. His hazel eyes held hers, refusing to let her look away. I've been paying attention for 6 months, Tamara. The question is, have you noticed me noticing you? Yes, the answer screamed through her body, undeniable and terrifying. She'd noticed every glance, every excuse he'd made to be near her, every moment his attention had found her in a crowded room. She'd just been too scared to believe it meant what her foolish heart hoped it did. Harrison, her voice cracked, I don't know how to do this. Do what? Be wanted, not needed, not useful, just wanted. The confession escaped before she could stop it. 3 years of divorce and loneliness spilling out on a wedding dance floor. My ex-husband left because I got older, because the young paralegal at his firm made him feel important. I spent 20 years being a good wife, a good mother, and it wasn't enough. So I don't know how to believe that you... Look around, Harrison interrupted gently. What do you see? Tamara glanced at the other dancers, the guests at tables, the celebration surrounding them. A wedding? Look at the people watching us. She did, and her stomach dropped. Beverly was grinning from the dessert table, giving an enthusiastic thumbs up. Ayanna and Marcus swayed nearby, her daughter's face soft with approval. Even some of the other guests were smiling at them. This unexpected pairing on the dance floor. But 3 tables away, Kenneth Hayes stared at them with an expression Tamara recognized. Shock, jealousy, the dawning realization that he'd made a mistake. He's looking at you, like he lost something precious, Harrison said, following her gaze. And he did. But that's not why I'm holding you right now. I'm not trying to make him jealous or prove anything to anyone. I'm dancing with you because for 6 months, you've been the first thing I think about when I wake up and the last thing on my mind before I sleep. Because watching you try to disappear into the wallpaper tonight physically hurt. Because I'm tired of pretending I don't want exactly this. The song ended. Another began something upbeat and celebratory, but Harrison didn't release her. He kept swaying slowly, creating their own rhythm, their own moment separate from the party around them. One more dance, he said, but it sounded like a question. Tamara should say no, should step back, create distance, protect her heart from the inevitable moment when he realized she was too old, too ordinary, too much work for a 36-year-old billionaire with the world at his feet. Instead, she heard herself whisper, okay. His smile could have lit up the entire venue. Okay, one more dance. She allowed herself to relax slightly into his hold, to stop fighting the pull between them for just a moment longer. But Harrison, I need you to understand something. Anything. I'm scared. The admission tasted like truth and surrender. I'm 48 years old, and I'm terrified that you're going to wake up one day and realize you could have anyone younger, easier, better. Tamara. Harrison stopped moving, right there in the middle of the dance floor with couples spinning around them. He cupped her face with both hands, his thumb brushing her cheekbone. I don't want younger. I don't want easier. I want you. Exactly as you are. And I'll spend however long it takes proving that to you. Someone bumped into them, a laughing groomsman doing an enthusiastic spin, but Harrison didn't move, didn't take his eyes off her face. Now, he said, Are you going to let me keep dancing with you? Or do I need to convince your daughter to make an announcement that the best man has officially claimed the mother of the bride for the rest of the evening? Despite everything, the fear, the age gap, the impossibility of it all, Tamara laughed. Actually laughed. For the first time in hours, in weeks maybe. You wouldn't. Try me. Marcus owes me for that bachelor party in Vegas. You're ridiculous. I'm determined. Harrison pulled her close again, his lips near her ear. There's a difference. They danced through 3 more songs. 4, 5. Tamara lost count somewhere between her fear dissolving and her heart opening, somewhere between Harrison telling her about his first failed startup and her confessing that she'd bought his company's software for her bakery specifically because his name was on it. You did? He sounded delighted. I told myself it was because of the reviews, Tamara admitted, but that was a lie. So you have been thinking about me. Harrison, say it. His hand tightened on her waist. Say you've been thinking about me too. The music swelled around them, the band transitioning into something slow and soulful, Jill Scott's voice filling the venue. Tamara let herself feel it, all of it. The warmth of Harrison's body against hers, the security of his arms, the terrifying, exhilarating possibility that maybe, impossibly, this brilliant younger man really did see her. Yes, she whispered. I've been thinking about you. Thank God. Harrison's forehead touched hers, his breath warm against her lips. Because I was starting to think I was going insane. You might be. This is insane. The best things usually are. Around them, the reception continued laughter and clinking glasses, the DJ announcing the bouquet toss, Ayana's voice calling for all the single ladies. But Tamara stayed exactly where she was, in Harrison Cole's arms, letting herself believe in fairy tales for the first time in years. At least for one more dance, maybe 2. When the band finally took a break, Harrison walked her back to her table, his hand never leaving the small of her back. Beverly practically vibrated with excitement. Girl, Beverly breathed, fanning herself. I thought you said he was just being polite. I thought he was, Tamara said faintly. Polite doesn't look like that. Polite doesn't involve eye contact that could melt steel. Beverly grabbed her arm. Please tell me you gave him your number. He didn't ask. Tamara. Harrison appeared beside her again, holding 2 glasses of champagne. He handed her one, his fingers brushing hers deliberately. Can I have your phone number? Beverly made a strangled sound that might have been a suppressed squeal. Yes, Tamara said, because apparently she'd lost all capacity for self-preservation. Yes, you can have my number. She watched him enter it into his phone, watched him text her immediately so she'd have his, watched him smile like he'd just won something precious. I'll call you tomorrow, Harrison said. If that's okay. Okay. And maybe we could have dinner. Something quiet, where we can actually talk without 300 people watching. Harrison, just dinner, he said gently. That's all. 1 meal. You can bring a friend if it makes you more comfortable. We can meet somewhere public. Whatever you need to feel safe. Safe. The word lodged somewhere in her chest. Kenneth had never cared if she felt safe. He'd cared if she was useful, available, convenient. But safe, that was something new. Dinner, Tamara agreed. But somewhere normal. No 5-star restaurants or helicopter rides or billionaire things. Harrison laughed, the sound rich and genuine. Deal. There's a little Italian place near your bakery, Giovanni's. They have outdoor seating and the best carbonara I've ever tasted. Would that work? He knew where her bakery was. Of course he did. He'd probably known for months. That would work, Tamara said. Tomorrow night? 7 o'clock? Yes. Tomorrow night. Perfect. Harrison lifted her hand and pressed a kiss to her knuckles, his eyes never leaving hers. Thank you for the dances, Tamara. They were the best part of my evening. He walked away to rejoin Marcus and the other groomsmen, leaving Tamara standing with Beverly, her heart racing and her mind spinning. Oh my God, Beverly whispered. Oh my God, Tamara. He's into you. Like, really into you. He's 36. So I'm 48. That's 12 years. And, girl, did you see the way he looked at you? Like you were the only person at this whole wedding. Like those 12 years didn't matter even a little bit. Beverly squeezed her hand. Maybe they don't. Maybe you should stop counting and start living. Tamara glanced across the venue and found Harrison already looking back at her, his hazel eyes finding hers through the crowd like he had some internal compass that always pointed her direction. Maybe Beverly was right. Maybe, impossibly, this could be something real. Or maybe she was about to get her heart broken by a younger man who'd eventually realize she was too old, too tired, too ordinary for the life he led. Tomorrow night at Giovanni's, she'd start finding out which. Quick pause if you're feeling this story. Hit the hype so others can find it. Comment where you're watching from. Now, back to the story. The next morning, Tamara woke to sunlight streaming through her bedroom window and a text message that made her heart stutter. Harrison, good morning. I know I said I'd call, but I couldn't wait. Still on for tonight? She stared at her phone for a full minute, reading and rereading the message. In the harsh light of day, last night felt like a dream. The dancing, the confessions, the way Harrison had looked at her like she was something precious. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. She could cancel, make an excuse, protect herself before this went any further. Instead, she typed, "Good morning. Yes, still on. 7 p.m. His response came immediately. "I'll pick you up at 6:45. Tamara, I can meet you there." Harrison, "I know you can, but I'd like to pick you up. Please?" She bit her lip, something warm spreading through her chest. "Okay." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, "Thank you. I'm looking forward to it." So was she. God help her, so was she. Beverly called at 9 o'clock, which meant she'd waited approximately 3 hours longer than Tamara had expected. "Tell me everything," Beverly demanded. "And I mean everything. Start with how his hands felt on your waist and don't skip a single detail." "Bev, girl, I watched you dance with that man for an hour." "An hour, Tamara. Do you know how many women at that wedding would have traded places with you? Including the bride's 23-year-old cousin, who was practically drooling every time he walked by." Tamara carried the phone to her kitchen, starting coffee on autopilot. It was just dancing. That was not just anything. That was a man staking a claim in front of God and everybody. Beverly's voice softened. "How are you feeling about dinner tonight?" "Terrified." "Good. Terrified or bad terrified?" Tamara watched coffee drip into the pot, her reflection ghosting in the window above the sink. 48 years old. Grey strands threading through her natural curls despite the bi-monthly salon visits, fine lines around her eyes and mouth, a body that had carried a child and survived 20 years of marriage and looked nothing like the women Harrison probably usually dated. "I don't know," she admitted. "Both? Listen to me." Beverly's tone shifted, serious now. "You deserve this. You deserve someone who looks at you the way he did. Who cares if he's younger? Who cares what anyone thinks? Kenneth left you for someone younger, and look how that turned out. He spent the whole wedding watching you with his jaw on the floor while his girlfriend got drunk and cried in the bathroom." "She did?" "Oh, yes. Apparently Kenneth's been distant lately." Beverly made a disgusted sound. "But that's not your problem anymore. Your problem is deciding what to wear tonight that says, 'I'm a confident, beautiful woman who might be open to being pursued by a gorgeous billionaire.'" Despite her nerves, Tamara laughed. "I don't think my closet has anything that says that. Then we're going shopping. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Bev, I have to open the bakery. You have Keisha covering Sundays now, and you know it. 20 minutes. Wear something comfortable because we're hitting every boutique in Charleston if we have to." The call ended before Tamara could protest. She stood in her kitchen, coffee forgotten, and pulled up Harrison's company website on her phone. Cole Technologies. Founded when Harrison was 28, now worth billions. Pioneering software that helped small businesses compete with corporate giants. The irony wasn't lost on her. She'd been using his platform for her bakery for 2 years. There were photos of him at conferences, accepting awards, shaking hands with politicians and celebrities. Always that same quiet confidence, the intense focus in his hazel eyes. In every picture, he looked polished, powerful, completely out of her league. Her phone buzzed with another text. "Harrison, I forgot to ask last night. Do you have any food allergies or preferences I should know about?" The thoughtfulness of it, the care, made her throat tight. "Tamara, no allergies. I eat pretty much anything." Harrison, noted. "See you tonight, Tamara." The way he said her name, even in text, she could hear it. The way he drew out the syllables like savoring something sweet. She was in so much trouble. Beverly arrived with coffee and determination, took one look at Tamara's closet, and declared it a crime against dating. "I don't date," Tamara protested. "I haven't dated in 3 years." "Exactly my point." Beverly started pulling out dresses, holding them up, discarding most immediately. "You've been dressing like you're invisible, like you're trying to blend into the wallpaper. But baby, a man like Harrison Cole doesn't chase wallpaper. He sees you. So let's give him something to see." 4 hours later, Tamara stood in her bedroom wearing a dress that made her feel like someone she barely recognized. Deep emerald green, hitting just above the knee, with a wrap front that hugged her curves without being obvious. The color made her skin glow, made her hazel eyes stand out. Perfect, Beverly breathed. That's the one. It's too much. It's exactly right. Now sit down and let me do something with your hair. By 6:30, Tamara's natural curls were defined and glossy, falling around her face in a way that felt both elegant and effortless. Beverly had insisted on makeup not heavy, just enough to highlight her features, make her lips look fuller, her eyes more dramatic. I look like I'm trying too hard, Tamara said, staring at her reflection. You look like a woman who knows her worth. Beverly squeezed her shoulders. Now breathe. He's going to lose his mind when he sees you. The doorbell rang at exactly 6:45. Tamara's hands trembled as she grabbed her purse, as Beverly gave her one last encouraging push toward the door, as she pulled it open and found Harrison Cole standing on her front porch holding flowers. Not roses. Sunflowers and orange lilies. Bright and warm and somehow perfect. Hi, he said, and his voice came out slightly rough, his eyes traveling over her like he was trying to memorize every detail. Tamara, you look incredible. Thank you. She accepted the flowers, their fingers brushing. You didn't have to bring these. I wanted to. I remembered you had sunflowers in your kitchen at the bridal shower. I hoped that meant you liked them. He'd noticed her kitchen. He'd remembered sunflowers from 2 months ago. I love them, Tamara said softly. They're my favorite. Harrison's smile could have melted steel. Good. Are you ready? She was absolutely not ready, but she nodded anyway, called goodbye to Beverly, and let Harrison help her into his car, a sleek black Tesla that probably cost more than her house. I know I said no billionaire things, Harrison said as he pulled away from the curb, but I promise Giovanni's is completely normal. I've been going there since I moved to Charleston. The owner's son and I went to college together. How long have you lived here? 8 years. I moved after some things fell apart in San Francisco. He glanced at her, then back to the road. I can tell you about it over dinner if you want. The whole messy story. I'd like that. They drove through Charleston's historic district, past church steeples and live oaks, dripping with Spanish moss. The sun sat low on the horizon, painting everything gold. Harrison kept one hand on the wheel and the other resting on the console between them, close enough that Tamara could feel the warmth radiating from his skin. Can I ask you something? Harrison said after a moment. Okay. Last night, you said you didn't know how to be wanted instead of needed. Can you tell me what you meant by that? Tamara's first instinct was to deflect, to make a joke, to protect herself from the vulnerability of truth, but something about the genuine curiosity in his voice, the lack of judgment, made her answer honestly. My marriage, she said slowly, wasn't terrible. Kenneth never hit me or screamed at me or anything dramatic. But he needed things from me, a clean house, a well-behaved daughter, someone to entertain his clients, someone who made him look good. I was useful. I served a purpose, and as long as I fulfilled that purpose, everything was fine. Harrison's jaw tightened, but he didn't interrupt. But when I turned 45, Tamara continued, I started noticing things. The way he'd look at younger women, the late nights at the office, the distance. She took a breath, forcing out the next part. He didn't leave me because I did anything wrong. He left because I got older, because the paralegal at his firm was 28 and made him feel young again, because I was no longer the most useful version of myself I could be. Tamara, I'm not looking for pity, she said quickly. I've made peace with it, mostly, but it left me with this belief that I'm only valuable when I'm serving a purpose, when I'm taking care of Ayana, or running the bakery, or helping someone. The idea that someone might just want me not for what I can do, but for who I am, that's hard for me to believe. Harrison pulled into Giovanni's parking lot, but didn't get out immediately. He turned to face her, his hazel eyes serious. Your ex-husband, he said carefully, is an idiot. Despite everything, Tamara felt her lips twitch. Harrison, I'm serious. He had 20 years with you. 20 years of your loyalty, your dedication, your love. And he threw it away because he was too shallow to recognize that you were becoming more interesting, more complex, more beautiful with every year. Harrison reached over, took her hand. You want to know what I see when I look at you? I'm not sure. I see a woman who built a successful business from nothing, who raised a daughter with grace and strength, who handles stress by humming Mary J. Blige and stress-baking cinnamon rolls. His thumb traced circles on her palm. I see someone who's kind to waiters and remembers people's names and lights up when she talks about bread chemistry. I see someone who's been hurt but hasn't let it make her bitter. Someone who's scared but showed up tonight anyway. Tamara's eyes stung. You barely know me. I've spent 6 months finding excuses to be around you. Trust me, I know more than you think. Harrison lifted her hand, pressed a kiss to her knuckles exactly like he had the night before, and I want to know everything else. Not because you're useful, not because you serve a purpose, but because you're fascinating and beautiful, and I can't stop thinking about you no matter how hard I try. We should go inside, Tamara whispered, because if they stayed in this car another minute, she might do something foolish like kiss him or cry or both. Okay. Harrison squeezed her hand once before releasing it. But Tamara, this isn't charity. This isn't me being nice. This is me being completely selfish, because spending time with you is the best part of my week. He got out, came around to open her door, offered his hand to help her out. The restaurant glowed warm and inviting, string lights wrapped around the outdoor patio, the smell of garlic and fresh bread drifting through the evening air. Giovanni himself greeted Harrison with a bear hug and rapid Italian, then turned to Tamara with sparkling eyes. Ah, finally, Harrison brings a beautiful woman to my restaurant. I was beginning to think he was married to his computer. Giovanni kissed both her cheeks in the European style. Any woman who makes this one smile like that deserves my best table. Come, come. He led them to a corner table on the patio, private but with a view of the street, the evening settling into comfortable warmth around them. Candles flickered on the table. Jazz played softly from speakers hidden in the greenery. It was perfect. Completely, impossibly perfect. So, Harrison said once they'd ordered carbonara for him, pesto pasta for her, a bottle of Chianti to share. Tell me about the bakery. How did that start? Tamara took a sip of wine, feeling it warm her from the inside. After the divorce, I needed something that was mine, something Kenneth couldn't touch or claim or ruin. I'd always loved baking, learned from my grandmother, actually. She had this saying, bread doesn't lie. You put in the work, you get the result. It felt honest in a way my marriage hadn't been. What kind of baking? Everything. Cakes, pastries, custom orders for events. But my specialty is bread, sourdough, specifically. There's something about the process, feeding the starter, waiting for the rise, shaping the loaves. It requires patience and attention and care. You can't rush good bread. Harrison leaned forward, completely focused on her. Is that what you love about it? The patience? Partly. But also, Tamara paused, trying to find the right words. Bread is forgiving. You can make mistakes, and it still turns into something beautiful. You can be imperfect, and it still nourishes people. I liked that metaphor when I was trying to rebuild my life. Smart, Harrison said softly. And now? How's business? Good. Really good, actually. I hired 2 employees last year. Started doing wholesale to restaurants. I'm even thinking about opening a second location. She stopped, suddenly self-conscious. Sorry, I'm probably boring you. This can't be interesting compared to tech stuff. Tamara. Harrison reached across the table, covered her hand with his. I built Cole Technologies to help small businesses succeed. Do you know how rare it is to watch someone actually do it? To see them take a dream and turn it into something real and sustainable? It's not boring. It's inspiring. Their food arrived, and they ate slowly, talking between bites. Harrison told her about San Francisco, the startup that had failed spectacularly when his co-founder embezzled funds, the year he'd spent rebuilding from nothing, the decision to move to Charleston and start over somewhere slower, somewhere he could breathe. Marcus was already here, Harrison said. He'd moved for college and stayed. He kept telling me I was burning out, that I needed to leave the Bay Area before it killed me. Turned out he was right. Do you miss it? The fast pace? No. I like it here. I like Sunday dinners with Marcus and his wife, well, wife now. I like being able to walk downtown and actually know my neighbors. He paused, his eyes finding hers. I like that I met you here. Tamara's breath caught. Harrison, I know. Too much. Too fast. I'm sorry. I keep doing that. He ran a hand through his hair, looking suddenly younger, almost uncertain. I'm not usually like this. I'm usually careful, strategic, measured. But with you, all of that goes out the window. You make me want to be honest instead of smart. I don't mind honesty, Tamara said quietly. Honesty is good. Okay, then honestly. Harrison set down his fork, giving her his complete attention. I'm 36 years old. I've dated, had relationships, thought I was in love a couple times, but I've never felt this pull toward someone. Like gravity. Like you're magnetic north, and my compass only works when you're around. That's terrifying. I know. For me too. He smiled, but there was vulnerability in it. I keep waiting for you to tell me this is crazy, that the age difference is too much, that I should find someone more appropriate. Maybe you should, Tamara said, but even as she said it, the words felt hollow. I don't want appropriate. Harrison's voice dropped lower, more intense. I want you. I want to know what music you listen to when you're sad. I want to learn how you like your coffee in the morning. I want to watch you work because I bet you're beautiful when you're focused. I want to hear about your day and make you laugh and figure out what makes you happy so I can do more of it. Tamara's heart hammered against her ribs. This is moving very fast. We can slow down. We can take this at whatever pace you need. I'm not going anywhere, Tamara. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Harrison reached for her hand again, his thumb brushing across her knuckles. You set the speed. You decide what you're comfortable with. I'll follow your lead, and if I'm not comfortable with any of this, then we stay friends. I'd rather have you in my life as a friend than not at all. It was the right answer, the perfect answer, and it made Tamara want to believe him so badly it physically hurt. They finished dinner slowly, sharing tiramisu, talking about everything and nothing, his love of hiking, her secret obsession with true crime podcasts, the books they'd both read, the places they wanted to travel. By the time Giovanni brought the check, Tamara had laughed more than she had in months, felt lighter than she'd thought possible. Harrison paid despite her protests, then walked her back to his car with his hand on the small of her back, that touch becoming familiar, grounding. I have a confession, he said as they drove through Charleston's quiet streets. I almost cancelled tonight. What? Why? Because I was scared. Harrison glanced at her, then back to the road. Scared that I'd built this up too much in my head. Scared that reality wouldn't match what I'd been imagining for 6 months. Scared that you'd realize I'm just a guy who's really into you and has no idea what he's doing. And now I'm more scared than ever. He pulled up in front of her house, turned to face her. Because tonight was better than I imagined. You're more than I imagined. And I'm terrified of screwing this up. Tamara unbuckled her seatbelt, her hands shaking slightly. I should go inside. Okay. But neither of them moved. The air in the car felt charged, heavy with possibility. Harrison's eyes dropped to her lips, then back to her eyes, asking a question he didn't say out loud. I'm not ready, Tamara whispered. For whatever comes next. I need time. Okay. Harrison didn't look disappointed, just understanding. Can I see you again? Maybe Thursday? There's a jazz concert in the park. Very public, very safe, lots of people around. Thursday, Tamara agreed, because apparently she'd lost the ability to protect herself. But Harrison, if you change your mind about this, about me, please just tell me. Don't drag it out. I've been through that before, and I can't. I can't do it again. I'm not going to change my mind. Harrison reached up, tucked a curl behind her ear, his fingers lingering on her jaw. But I hear you, and I promise, if anything changes, you'll be the first to know. No games, no ambiguity. Just honesty. Okay. Tamara made herself get out of the car, made herself walk to her front door. Harrison waited until she was inside, safe, before driving away. She leaned against the closed door, her heart racing, her mind spinning. Beverly emerged from the living room, where she'd apparently been waiting the entire time. Well? Beverly demanded. How was it? I think, Tamara said slowly, I might be falling for him. Thank God. I was starting to worry you'd lost your mind along with your sense of self-preservation. Beverly pulled her toward the couch. Now tell me everything, and don't leave out a single detail. So Tamara did. She told Beverly about the flowers and the dinner and the way Harrison looked at her like she was something precious. She told her about the vulnerability in his eyes when he'd admitted being scared, about his promise to move at her pace, about the way her body had responded to his proximity like coming home. This is real, Beverly said when she'd finished. You know that, right? This isn't some fantasy or midlife crisis. This man is seriously into you. I know. Tamara pulled her knees up to her chest. That's what scares me. Because I'm 48 and he's 36, and eventually he's going to wake up and realize he could have anyone younger, prettier, less complicated. The words tumbled out, all her fears laid bare. And I don't think I can survive being left again. Not for the same reason. Beverly was quiet for a moment. Then, Kenneth left because he was a coward who couldn't handle growing older. Harrison isn't Kenneth. And you aren't the same woman you were 3 years ago. I'm older than I was 3 years ago. You're also stronger, more sure of yourself, more successful. You built a business, Tamara. You raised a daughter who just married a good man. You survived heartbreak and came out the other side. That's not nothing. Beverly grabbed her hand. "And if Harrison Cole is stupid enough to walk away from all of that, then he doesn't deserve you. But I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he's exactly as serious as he seems." Tamara wanted to believe her. God, she wanted to believe her. Her phone buzzed with a text. "Harrison, thank you for tonight. I had an amazing time. Sleep well, Tamara." She stared at the message, her thumb hovering over the keyboard. "Tamara, thank you for the flowers and dinner. I had a wonderful time too. Harrison, Thursday, 7 p.m. I'll pick you up. Tamara, Thursday, 7 p.m. Harrison, perfect. Good night. Tamara, good night, Harrison." She set her phone down, feeling Beverly watching her with a knowing smile. "What?" Tamara asked. "Nothing. Just remembering what it looks like when someone falls in love." Beverly stood, grabbed her purse. "I'm going home. But Tamara, let yourself be happy. You deserve this." After Beverly left, Tamara sat alone in her living room. The sunflowers Harrison had brought her bright on the coffee table, and let herself imagine just for a moment what it might be like if this was real. If Harrison meant everything he said, if age really didn't matter, and she really could have this. It felt dangerous and reckless, and absolutely terrifying. It also felt like hope. Over the next 3 weeks, Harrison Cole became a fixture in Tamara's life, in ways both wonderful and terrifying. He showed up at Sweet Rise Bakery on Tuesday mornings for coffee and a cinnamon roll, sitting at the corner table with his laptop, working quietly while she handled the morning rush. He never demanded attention, never expected her to stop working, but his presence felt like an anchor, steady, grounding, there. "You don't have to keep coming here," Tamara said the third Tuesday, sliding into the chair across from him during a lull. "Don't you have an office?" "I have several offices." Harrison looked up from his screen, his hazel eyes warm. "But none of them smell like fresh bread or have you in them, so this one's better." Her employees, Keisha and Janelle, whispered and giggled every time he walked in. Customers noticed too, this striking younger man, who clearly only had eyes for the bakery owner. Tamara tried to ignore the looks, the speculation, the obvious questions people were too polite to ask out loud. The jazz concert on Thursday had turned into drinks on Saturday, which had become brunch on Sunday, which had somehow evolved into Harrison texting her every morning and calling her every night before bed. They talked about everything, his childhood in Boston, her grandmother's recipes, his fear of sharks, her secret love of horror movies. "You're telling me," Harrison said one night, his voice warm through the phone, "that you, Tamara Hayes, who jumps at thunderstorms, deliberately watches movies designed to scare you. It's different when it's not real." Tamara was curled up on her couch, a blanket tucked around her, talking to him like this was normal, like she hadn't spent 3 years convinced she'd never do this again. "Besides, I like the adrenaline." Noted. "So, haunted houses are okay, but loud noises aren't?" "Exactly. You're fascinating. I'm really not." "Tamara," his voice dropped lower, more serious. "When are you going to believe me when I tell you things about yourself?" She didn't have an answer for that. Ayana called her the following Monday, home from her honeymoon in Greece. "Mama," her daughter said without preamble, "Marcus told me Harrison's been seeing you. Like, actually seeing you. Is that true?" Tamara's stomach clenched. She'd known this conversation was coming, had been dreading it despite Harrison's assurances that Marcus approved. "We've had dinner a few times," Tamara said carefully, "and he stops by the bakery sometimes. It's nothing serious." "Mama," Ayana's voice was gentle but firm, "I saw you two at my wedding. That wasn't nothing." "Honey, I know this probably seems strange." "It seems wonderful," Ayana cut her off. "You looked happy, actually happy, not just pretending. And Harrison looked at you like Marcus looks at me, like you were the only person in the world who mattered." Tamara's throat tightened. "You're not upset?" "Why would I be upset? You deserve to be happy. You deserve someone who treats you like you're precious." Ayana paused. "I'm just worried about you getting hurt. He's younger, he's wealthy, he's got this whole life that's so different from yours." "I know," Tamara interrupted quietly. "Trust me, baby. I know all the reasons this doesn't make sense. But he keeps showing up. He keeps being kind and patient and interested, and I don't know what to do with that." "Maybe you don't have to do anything with it. Maybe you just let yourself enjoy it." Ayana's voice softened. "Just be careful, okay? I love you. I love you too." After they hung up, Tamara sat with her daughter's words. "You looked happy. When was the last time someone had said that about her? When was the last time it had been true?" Her phone rang again. Harrison this time. "Hey," she answered. "Hey, yourself. I have a question. and you can say no. Okay, my company is hosting a charity gala on Friday. It's a big deal, investors, clients, media. Very formal, very public. Harrison paused. Would you come with me? As my date? Tamara's heart hammered. Harrison, that's your world. Those are your people. I don't belong. You belong anywhere I am, Harrison said firmly. But I understand if it's too much, too soon. I wanted you there. I want people to know I'm seeing you, that this is real. People will talk. About the age difference, about me not being from your social circle. Let them talk. I don't care about any of that. His voice dropped lower. But if you're not comfortable, we don't have to go. We can do something else. Just us. Tamara closed her eyes, fighting between fear and something that felt dangerously like hope. What would I even wear to something like that? Does that mean you're considering it? Maybe, probably, I don't know. Wear anything. You'll be the most beautiful woman there regardless. Harrison paused. But if you want help, I can send. No. Tamara opened her eyes. Decision made. No, I'll figure it out. But Harrison, if I go to this gala with you, people are going to know. About us. There won't be any going back to private. Good. I don't want private. I want real. That's what scared her. Beverly dragged her shopping again on Wednesday, this time to boutiques that made Tamara's eyes water when she saw the price tags. Absolutely not, Tamara said, backing away from a dress that cost more than her monthly rent. This is insane. This is a gala. You need to look the part. Beverly held up the dress, midnight blue, floor length, with delicate beading that caught the light. Try it on. Humor me. The dress fit like it had been made for her body. The color made her skin glow, the cut elegant without being revealing, sophisticated without being matronly. When Tamara looked in the mirror, she saw someone she barely recognized, someone confident, beautiful, worthy of standing beside a man like Harrison Cole. I can't afford this, she whispered. Yes, you can. You have a successful business, Tamara. You're allowed to invest in yourself. Beverly appeared behind her in the mirror. Besides, think of it this way, you're representing Sweet Rise Bakery at a high-profile event. This is a business expense. That's not how business expenses work. It is now. Buy the dress. Tamara bought the dress. Friday arrived too quickly. Harrison picked her up at 6:30, and when he saw her, he actually stopped walking. Tamara. Her name came out reverent, awed. God, you're stunning. Thank you. She felt heat rise in her cheeks. You clean up pretty well yourself. That was an understatement. Harrison in a tuxedo should have been illegal. The black fabric emphasized his athletic build, the crisp white shirt making his hazel eyes even more striking. He looked like he belonged on magazine covers, in boardrooms, anywhere successful and powerful people gathered, and he was looking at her like she was the only person who existed. Ready? Harrison offered his arm. Not even a little bit. Good. Me neither. He smiled, and some of her nerves eased. We'll be terrified together. The gala was held at the Charleston Yacht Club, a venue Tamara had only ever seen from the outside. Crystal chandeliers hung from vaulted ceilings. A string quartet played near a marble fountain. Men in tuxedos and women in designer gowns mingled with champagne glasses, their laughter echoing off polished floors. Tamara felt completely out of place. Stay close to me, Harrison murmured, his hand finding the small of her back as they entered. And remember, half these people are terrified of saying the wrong thing. They're just better at hiding it. That doesn't help. No? Harrison steered her toward the bar. How about this? There's a woman at 3 o'clock in a red dress who's wearing her shoe on the wrong foot. The man behind us has spinach in his teeth. And the CEO of the biggest tech company in Charleston? He once drunk texted me asking if I thought his hamster loved him. Despite herself, Tamara laughed. You're making that up. I swear I'm not. His hamster's name was Mr. Whiskers, and he was very concerned about their relationship. Harrison handed her a champagne glass, his eyes dancing. See, everyone's human, even rich people. You're rich people. I'm rich people who's completely out of his depth, because the woman he's falling for is so beautiful he can't remember his own name. Harrison said it quietly, just for her, and Tamara's breath caught. Harrison. Mr. Cole. A man in his 50s approached, hand extended. Wonderful event. And who is this lovely lady? Richard. This is Tamara Hayes. She owns Sweet Rise Bakery downtown, best bread in Charleston. Tamara, this is Richard Chen, one of our investors. They shook hands. Richard's wife joined them, and suddenly Tamara was being pulled into conversation about the bakery, about her grandmother's recipes, about whether she'd consider doing custom orders for corporate events. Harrison stayed beside her, his hand never leaving her back, jumping in whenever she seemed uncertain. More people approached. Harrison introduced her each time with pride in his voice, never just as his date but as the owner of Sweet Rise, as someone successful and interesting in her own right. He didn't minimize her accomplishments or talk over her. He let her shine. By the time dinner was served, Tamara had 3 business cards in her clutch and a growing realization that maybe she did belong here after all. "You're a natural," Harrison said as they sat down at his table front and center. "Of course. I knew you would be. I thought I'd be terrified the whole time." "Are you?" Tamara considered. The room was intimidating, the wealth on display slightly obscene, but Harrison's presence grounded her, and the people she'd talked to had been genuinely interested, not condescending or dismissive. "Less than I expected," she admitted. "Good." Harrison reached under the table, found her hand, laced their fingers together. "Thank you for being here. It means more than you know." Dinner passed in a blur of courses Tamara couldn't name, and wine that probably cost more than her car. The people at their table were welcoming a venture capitalist and his husband, a woman who ran a non-profit, a couple who'd recently sold their startup. They asked about the bakery, about her daughter, about Charleston. No one mentioned the age difference. No one looked at her like she didn't belong. Then Kenneth Hayes walked into the venue. Tamara's entire body went rigid. Harrison noticed immediately. "What's wrong? My ex-husband just arrived." Her voice came out strangled. "I didn't know he'd be here." Harrison followed her gaze, his jaw tightening. "He's a lawyer for one of the sponsors." "I didn't realize, Tamara. Do you want to leave?" She should say yes. Should protect herself from whatever humiliation Kenneth might try to inflict. But something stubborn rose up in her chest, something that refused to run. "No," Tamara said quietly. "I'm not leaving." "Okay." Harrison's hand tightened on hers. "Then we stay. Together." Kenneth spotted them during the charity auction. Tamara watched him do a double take, watched his eyes widen as he registered her dress, her seat at Harrison's table, the way Harrison's arm rested casually across the back of her chair. He made his way over during the break between auction items. "Tamara," Kenneth said, his voice falsely jovial, "I didn't expect to see you here." "Kenneth." She kept her voice neutral, polite. "How are you?" "Good. Good. Business is excellent." His eyes traveled over her, then to Harrison, assessment clear on his face. "I don't think we've met." "Kenneth Hayes." "Harrison Cole." Harrison stood, shook Kenneth's hand with perfunctory politeness, then sat back down, his body angled slightly toward Tamara in a way that was unmistakably protective. "I've heard about you." The way he said it made clear that what he'd heard wasn't positive. Kenneth's smile tightened. "Tamara and I were married for 20 years, Kenneth said, like establishing ownership. "I'm sure she's told you. She mentioned you left her for someone younger." Harrison's voice was pleasant, conversational, but there was steel underneath. "That must have been a difficult decision." Kenneth's face flushed. That's not exactly we grew apart. These things happen." "Do they?" Harrison's hand found Tamara's, held it where Kenneth could see. "Interesting. I can't imagine growing apart from someone like Tamara. If anything, I'd say she becomes more interesting every day." Tamara's heart hammered. Harrison was defending her, publicly, in front of her ex-husband and half of Charleston's elite. "Well," Kenneth looked between them, something ugly crossing his face. "I hope you know what you're doing, Cole. Tamara's a great woman, but she's got baggage. A daughter, an ex-husband, set in her ways." "Stop." Harrison's voice went cold, dangerous. "You don't get to talk about her like that. You don't get to diminish her accomplishments or reduce her to baggage because you were too short-sighted to see what you had." He stood again, and despite being roughly the same height as Kenneth, Harrison somehow looked larger, more intimidating. "Tamara is brilliant, kind, successful, and the best thing that's happened to me in years. So, with all due respect, which is none, you can walk away now." Kenneth stared at Harrison, then at Tamara, something like regret flickering across his face. Then he turned and walked away without another word. Tamara couldn't breathe. The entire table had gone quiet, watching. Harrison sat back down, his hand still holding hers, his expression softening immediately as he turned to her. "Are you okay?" he asked quietly. You defended me, in front of everyone." "Of course I did." He was being an ass. Harrison's thumb traced circles on her palm. "I'm sorry if that was too much. I should have asked what you wanted me to do." "No," Tamara cut him off, her voice thick. "No, that was. No one's ever done that for me before. Stood up for me like that. Then they were all idiots. Harrison lifted her hand, pressed a kiss to her knuckles. You deserve someone who'll fight for you, Tamara. Always. Around them, conversation resumed. The auction continued. But Tamara sat in her chair, Harrison's hand warm in hers, and felt something fundamental shift inside her chest. Maybe this was real. Maybe he meant everything he'd been saying. Maybe, impossibly, this could work. The gala ended near midnight. Harrison walked her to his car, his jacket draped over her shoulders against the cool October air. I'm sorry about Kenneth, Harrison said as they drove through empty streets. I should have kept my cool better. Don't apologize. I'm just trying to process the fact that you called me the best thing that's happened to you. Tamara looked at him in the dim light from passing street lamps. Did you mean that? Every word. Harrison glanced at her, then back to the road. Tamara, I know we've only been seeing each other for a few weeks. I know this is fast, but I need you to understand something. Okay. I've been successful in business because I recognize value when I see it. I know a good investment, a smart strategy, something worth pursuing. He pulled up in front of her house, but didn't get out immediately. You are the best thing I've ever found, not because you're perfect or uncomplicated or easy, but because you're real, you're genuine. You make me want to be better. Tamara's eyes stung. I'm scared I'm going to wake up and this will be over, that you'll realize I'm too old, too ordinary, too much work. Look at me. Harrison waited until she turned to face him fully. I'm 36. I've built companies, made millions, dated women society would consider perfect, and none of them made me feel the way you do. You make me excited to wake up because I get to text you good morning. You make boring investor meetings bearable because I'm thinking about what you're baking that day. You make me believe in things I'd stopped believing in. Like what? Like partnership. Like finding someone who challenges me and calms me down at the same time. Like the possibility that maybe age and wealth and all that other stuff people obsess about doesn't matter if you've found the right person. Harrison reached up, cupped her face gently. You're not too old. You're exactly right. And I'm not going anywhere unless you tell me to leave. Tamara should say something profound, something that matched the weight of his words. Instead, she heard herself whisper, Do you want to come inside? Just for coffee. Nothing else. Just, I don't want tonight to end yet. Harrison's smile was soft, understanding. I'd love that. They sat in her kitchen drinking coffee until 2 in the morning, talking about everything and nothing. Harrison admitted he was terrified of failing, of not being enough, of people only seeing his money instead of him. Tamara told him about the first year after her divorce, how she'd cried herself to sleep most nights, how Beverly had physically dragged her out of the house to stop her from giving up. I'm glad she did, Harrison said quietly. I'm glad you kept going. Otherwise I wouldn't have found you. You really believe that? That we were supposed to meet? I don't know about supposed to, but I'm grateful we did. Harrison set down his empty mug. I should probably go. Let you get some sleep. Tamara walked him to the door, reluctant for the night to end. Harrison paused on her front porch, backlit by her porch light, looking young and vulnerable and completely sincere. Thank you for tonight, he said. For coming with me. For letting me defend you. For inviting me in. Thank you for... Tamara stopped, overwhelmed by everything she wanted to say. For all of it. For seeing me. Always. Harrison leaned in, pressed a soft kiss to her forehead. Good night, Tamara. Good night. She watched him drive away, then closed the door and leaned against it, her heart full of something that felt dangerously like love. Her phone buzzed. Harrison. I know I just left, but I already miss you. Sleep well. Tamara. Miss you too. Thank you for tonight. Harrison. First of many. I promise. Tamara climbed into bed, Harrison's jacket still smelling like his cologne, and let herself believe just for tonight that promises like that could be kept. The photograph appeared online the next morning. Tamara was at the bakery, kneading dough for the day's sourdough loaves, when Keisha rushed in from the front, phone in hand. Miss Hayes, you need to see this. The Charleston Observer's Society page featured a photo from the gala. Harrison and Tamara at their table, his hand covering hers, both of them laughing at something someone had said. The caption read, Tech billionaire Harrison Cole and local bakery owner Tamara Hayes at the Cole Technologies charity gala. The new couple made their public debut Friday evening. Below the photo, the comments section had exploded. She's gorgeous. Good for them. Isn't she a bit old for him? Age gap relationships never last. Give it 6 months. I've been to her bakery. Best cinnamon rolls in Charleston. Gold digger alert. She's just after his money. He's 36 and she's what, 50? This is embarrassing. Tamara's hands went numb. She set down her phone, flour dusting the screen, and tried to breathe. "Don't read the comments," Keisha said firmly. "You look amazing in that photo, and Mr. Cole clearly adores you. The trolls are just jealous," but the damage was done. The comments burrowed into Tamara's brain, confirming every fear she'd been trying to ignore. She was too old. This was embarrassing. Harrison would eventually see what everyone else saw, that he'd made a mistake. Her phone rang. "Harrison, have you seen it?" he asked immediately. "Yes." "Tamara, I'm so sorry. I should have warned you this might happen. The media attention, the scrutiny, it's fine." Her voice came out flat, mechanical. "I knew what I was signing up for. You don't sound fine." "I'm at work. I need to go." "Tamara, I'll call you later." "Okay?" She hung up before he could respond, before her voice could crack, before she had to admit that seeing those comments felt like being gutted. Beverly showed up at lunch, with takeout and determination. "We're eating in your office," Beverly announced, pushing past Tamara into the tiny back room that served as both office and break room. "And you're going to tell me why you've been crying?" "I haven't. Your eyes are red. You've got flour in your hair. And Keisha texted me that you looked like you were about to have a breakdown." Beverly set down the food, crossed her arms. "Talk." So Tamara told her. About the photograph, the comments, the way reading them had made her feel 14 years old again. Awkward, wrong, not enough. "People think I'm a gold digger," Tamara said, her voice breaking. "They think I'm using him, that I'm too old, that this is some kind of joke. People are idiots." Beverly sat beside her, took her hand. "Tamara, you know what I see when I look at that photo? I see a successful, beautiful woman with a man who's clearly crazy about her. That's it. That's the whole story. But what if they're right? What if I am too old? What if he wakes up one day and realizes—" "Stop," Beverly's voice went hard. "Stop letting Kenneth's voice in your head. Stop letting internet strangers who don't know you define your worth. You are 48 years old and stunning. Harrison is 36 and lucky as hell. If people can't handle that, it's their problem, not yours. But, no buts, you've spent 3 years rebuilding yourself. You've built a successful business. You've raised an incredible daughter. You've done the work to heal. Don't let some random people on the internet undo all of that." Tamara wanted to believe her, but the comments kept echoing. "Too old. Gold digger. Give it 6 months." Harrison texted throughout the afternoon. "Harrison, please talk to me. I know you're upset." "Harrison, the comments are garbage. You know that, right?" "Harrison, Tamara, I'm worried about you. Can I come by after you close?" She responded to the last one. "I need some space. I'm sorry." The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally, "Okay, but please know I'm here when you're ready. This doesn't change anything for me." But it changed everything for her. Tamara avoided Harrison for 3 days. She ignored his calls, responded to his texts with non-committal single words, and threw herself into work with manic intensity. She developed 2 new bread recipes, reorganized the entire storage system, and deep-cleaned equipment that was already spotless. "You're spiraling," Keisha observed on Wednesday, "and it's starting to scare me." "I'm fine." "You've reorganized the flour bins 4 times. You're not fine." Ayanna showed up that evening, letting herself into Tamara's house with her key, finding her mother sitting in the dark living room staring at nothing. "Mama." Ayanna flipped on the lights, sat beside her on the couch. "Marcus told me what happened, with the photo and the comments. I'm handling it, by avoiding Harrison and making yourself miserable." Ayanna took her hand. "Mama, I read those comments. They were cruel and unfair, but they're not true, aren't they? Everyone thinks the same thing, that I'm too old, that I don't belong with him. Everyone doesn't think that. A few angry people on the internet think that. There's a difference." Ayanna squeezed her hand. "Harrison called Marcus yesterday. He's worried sick about you. He thinks you're going to end things." Tamara's throat tightened. "Maybe I should." "Why? Because some strangers disapprove? Because you're scared?" Ayanna's voice was gentle but firm. "Mama, you taught me to be brave. You taught me that love was worth fighting for, even when it's scary. Now you need to take your own advice. It's different when it's you. It's not different. Fear is fear, and you're letting it win." Ayanna turned to face her fully. "I've watched you with Harrison. I saw you at my wedding. I've heard how Marcus talks about how happy his brother is. You're good together. You make each other better. Don't throw that away because you're afraid of what other people think." After Ayanna left, Tamara sat with her daughter's words. She pulled up the photo from the gala again, forced herself to really look at it. Harrison's expression was unguarded, open, the way he looked at her, holding nothing back. And her own face, she looked happy, genuinely, radiantly happy in a way she hadn't been in years. When had other people's opinions become more important than her own happiness? When had she given them that power? Her phone rang. Harrison again. This time, she answered. "Hi," she said quietly. "Tamara." He sounded relieved, exhausted. "Thank God. I've been going crazy. Are you okay?" "No. Not really. Can I come over? Please. I need to see you." "Okay." He arrived 20 minutes later, slightly disheveled like he'd been running his hands through his hair, his eyes anxious. "I'm sorry," Tamara said before he could speak. "I've been avoiding you, and that wasn't fair. Don't apologize. I should have prepared you better for what might happen. I should have protected you from—" "Harrison." She stepped closer, took his hand. "Can we sit down? I need to tell you something." They sat on her couch, the same couch where they'd had coffee after the gala, where everything had felt possible. Now it felt like the edge of a cliff. "The comments scared me," Tamara said. "Not because they were mean, but because they said out loud all the things I've been thinking. That I'm too old for you, that this doesn't make sense, that eventually you'll realize you made a mistake." "Tamara, let me finish, please." She took a breath. "I've been divorced for 3 years, and in those 3 years, I've convinced myself that I'm done with romance, that I'm too old, too tired, too damaged for anyone to want me the way you're supposed to want someone. And then you showed up, and you were so sure, so confident, and it terrified me, because I wanted to believe you so badly." Harrison's hand tightened on hers. "But those comments," Tamara continued, "they made me realize I've been waiting for proof that this won't work. I've been looking for evidence that you'll leave, that this is temporary, that I'm not enough. Because if I expect it, it won't hurt as much when it happens." "But that's not fair," Harrison said quietly. "Not to me, and not to you. I can't prove the future, Tamara. I can't guarantee that we'll work out, or that nothing bad will ever happen. But I can tell you that I'm here right now, choosing you right now, and I plan to keep choosing you as long as you'll let me. I know. Logically, I know that. But emotionally," she looked down at their joined hands, "I'm a mess. I'm insecure and scared, and I don't know how to trust this." "Then we'll figure it out together." Harrison shifted closer, cupped her face gently. "Tamara, I don't need you to be fearless. I don't need you to have all the answers. I just need you to stop pushing me away every time something gets hard. I don't know how to do that." "Yes, you do. You built a business from nothing. You survived a divorce that could have broken you. You raised a daughter by yourself. You're one of the bravest people I know." His thumb brushed her cheekbone. "So be brave enough to let me love you. Even when it's scary. Even when people talk. Even when you're convinced it won't work." "Love?" Tamara's breath caught. "Harrison, we've only been seeing each other for a month." "I know. It's too soon. It's too fast. All the logical parts of my brain are screaming that I should wait, that I should be careful." Harrison's hazel eyes held hers, refusing to look away. "But I'm done being careful. I'm falling in love with you, Tamara. Maybe I've been falling since the day we met, and I need you to decide if you're willing to fall with me." Tamara's eyes filled with tears. "This is insane. Completely. People will judge us. Let them. I'm going to be scared. I'm going to push you away again. I'm going to mess this up. Then we'll deal with it. Together." Harrison pulled her closer, his forehead touching hers. "I'm not Kenneth. I'm not going to leave because you get older or because something younger and shinier comes along. I want you, Tamara Hayes, exactly as you are, right now, in this moment. And I'll want you tomorrow, and next week, and next year. That's not going to change. You can't know that. I can. Because I've never felt this way about anyone. Because you make me better. Because the idea of not having you in my life makes me physically ill." His hands trembled slightly as they cradled her face. "So please, please stop sabotaging this because you're scared. Take the risk. Choose me back." Tamara looked at him, this brilliant, successful, impossibly young man who somehow saw her, really saw her, and wanted her anyway, and she made a decision. "I'm choosing you," she whispered. "Even though I'm terrified, even though I don't know how this ends, I'm choosing you, Harrison." His kiss was gentle, reverent, like she was something precious he'd been waiting his whole life to hold. Tamara melted into it, into him, letting herself feel everything she'd been trying to deny, the want, the need, the terrifying depth of emotion that was definitely, absolutely love. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Harrison rested his forehead against hers. Don't scare me like that again, he murmured. 3 days without talking to you was torture. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Just promise me that next time something scares you, you'll talk to me. Let me help. Let me be there. I promise I'll try. Good enough. Harrison pulled her close, tucked her against his chest, his heart beating steady under her ear. We're going to be okay, you know. This thing between us, it's real. Tamara let herself believe him. 2 weeks after their reconciliation, Beverly called at 7 in the morning with news that made Tamara's stomach drop. Kenneth's been talking, Beverly said without preamble. I heard it from Janet, who heard it from her sister who works at his firm. He's been telling people you're having a midlife crisis, that you're using Harrison, that the relationship won't last. Tamara sat up in bed, suddenly wide awake. He what? It gets worse. He's apparently been saying that Harrison is too young to know what he's getting into, that you're taking advantage of his inexperience with serious relationships. That Tamara, he's making you sound predatory. That's ridiculous. Harrison is 36, not 22. I know that. You know that. But Kenneth's been spreading this around, and people are listening because, well, he's a lawyer, and people assume lawyers know things. Beverly sounded furious. I wanted you to hear it from me before someone else mentioned it. After they hung up, Tamara sat in bed trying to process. Kenneth was actively trying to sabotage her relationship. Why? Because he was jealous? Because seeing her happy made him confront his own mistakes? Her phone buzzed with a text from Harrison. Harrison. Good morning, beautiful. Coffee at the bakery in 30? She stared at the message, then typed, Can you come to my house instead? We need to talk. Harrison. On my way. Asterisk, asterisk. He arrived 20 minutes later, concern etched on his face. Tamara told him everything Kenneth's rumors, the things he was saying, how it was spreading through Charleston's professional circles. That son of a... Harrison caught himself, visibly controlling his anger. He's doing this because of the gala, because I embarrassed him. He's doing this because he's jealous and petty, Tamara corrected. But Harrison, this could affect you. Your business relationships, your reputation. I don't care about any of that. You should. You've built Cole Technologies from nothing. I'm not going to let my ex-husband destroy that because he can't handle seeing me happy. Harrison took her hands, his expression serious. Tamara, listen to me very carefully. Kenneth Hayes can say whatever he wants. He can spread whatever lies make him feel better about his own choices. But none of it changes how I feel about you. None of it makes what we have less real. But people will believe him. Then I'll prove them wrong. Harrison's jaw set with determination. Actually, I have an idea, but you might think it's too much. What kind of idea? Cole Technologies is hosting our annual investors meeting next week. It's huge, all our major stakeholders, board members, press. I give a presentation about the company's direction, future plans, that kind of thing. Harrison paused. I want you there. Not hidden in the audience, but with me. I want to introduce you. Tell everyone exactly who you are and what you mean to me. Make it impossible for anyone to question that this is real. Tamara's heart hammered. Harrison, that's a huge statement. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. He cupped her face. But only if you're comfortable with it. I won't push you into something that makes you feel exposed or vulnerable. She thought about Kenneth's rumors, about the people whispering behind their hands, about all the ways her ex-husband was trying to make her look small. Yes, Tamara said. Yes, I want to be there. Yeah? Yeah. I'm done hiding. I'm done letting other people's opinions control my life. She met his eyes. And I'm done letting Kenneth Hayes have any power over me. Harrison's smile was fierce, proud. That's my girl. The week leading up to the investors' meeting felt like preparing for battle. Harrison insisted on running through his presentation with Tamara, wanting her input, making sure she understood his company's trajectory. You don't have to do this, Harrison said one evening as they sat in his home office, presentation slides scattered across his desk. I can handle Kenneth's rumors without putting you in the spotlight. I know, but I want to do this. I want to stand beside you publicly and show everyone that I'm not ashamed of us. Tamara reached for his hand. Besides, your presentation is solid. You're going to kill it, even the part about expanding into rural markets. Especially that part. Small businesses in rural areas need good software just as much as urban companies. It's smart business and good ethics. She squeezed his hand. You're brilliant, Harrison. Stop doubting yourself. He pulled her into his lap, kissed her thoroughly. How did I get so lucky? I asked myself the same thing. The night before the meeting, Tamara couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at her ceiling, running through worst-case scenarios. What if she froze? What if she said the wrong thing? What if people looked at her and Harrison and saw exactly what Kenneth was claiming, a desperate older woman clinging to a younger man's success? Her phone lit up with a text. Harrison, I know you're awake. I can feel you worrying from here. Tamara, that's not how feelings work. Harrison, it is when you're falling in love with someone. Their anxiety becomes your anxiety. Tamara, did you just say you're falling in love with me? In a text message? Harrison, I said it in person 2 weeks ago. The text is just a reminder. Now stop worrying and get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be perfect. Tamara, how do you know? Harrison, because you'll be there. That automatically makes it perfect. Despite her nerves, Tamara smiled. Tamara, you're ridiculous. Harrison, you love it. Good night, Tamara. I'll pick you up at 8 a.m. Tamara, good night, Harrison. She fell asleep with her phone still in her hand, feeling less alone than she had in years. The investors' meeting was held at the Charleston Convention Center, a massive space that had been transformed into something elegant and professional. Tamara wore a navy suit that Beverly had helped her pick out, sophisticated, confident, appropriate for standing beside a tech CEO without trying to outshine him. You look perfect, Harrison said when he picked her up, his eyes warm with approval and something deeper. Ready? Not even remotely. That makes two of us. He took her hand, laced their fingers together. But we're doing this anyway. The convention center buzzed with activity, investors in expensive suits, journalists with cameras, Cole Technologies, employees setting up displays. Harrison led Tamara through the crowd, his hand never leaving hers, introducing her to people with obvious pride. This is Tamara Hayes, he said over and over. She owns Sweet Rise Bakery downtown. Best bread in Charleston, though she'll argue that's an exaggeration. It's not. People were curious but polite. No one made comments about their age difference. No one looked at her like she didn't belong. In fact, several people mentioned they'd been to her bakery, loved her sourdough, wanted to place catering orders. See, Harrison murmured as they took their seats at the front. You belong here. Stop doubting it. The presentation began. Harrison stood at the podium, looking every inch the successful CEO, confident, articulate, passionate about his company's mission. He talked about Cole Technologies' growth, their plans for expansion, the software developments that would help small businesses compete in an increasingly corporate world. Then, midway through, he deviated from the planned script. Before I continue, Harrison said, his eyes finding Tamara in the front row, I want to talk about why we do this work, why I started Cole Technologies in the first place. The room quieted, everyone's attention focused on him. 8 years ago, I moved to Charleston after a business failure that nearly destroyed me. I was broke, humiliated, convinced I'd never build anything meaningful again. Harrison's voice was steady but vulnerable. But I met people here, small business owners, entrepreneurs, dreamers who were working 3 jobs to keep their dreams alive, who had brilliant ideas but no resources, who deserved a chance to compete but couldn't afford the software that would let them do it. He advanced to the next slide, photographs of various Charleston businesses, including one of Sweet Rise Bakery's storefront. This is why we exist, to give those people the tools they need to succeed, to level the playing field, to prove that success isn't just for people who start with advantages. Harrison's eyes met Tamara's again, holding her gaze. One of those business owners is Tamara Hayes. She started her bakery 3 years ago with a grandmother's recipes and a dream. She's built it into one of the most successful bakeries in Charleston, employing 6 people, serving the community, creating something real and lasting. Tamara's throat tightened. She hadn't known he was going to mention her. Tamara uses our software, Harrison continued. But more than that, she reminds me why this work matters. She's also... He paused, and something shifted in his expression, becoming more personal, more raw. She's also the woman I'm falling in love with. And I wanted everyone here to know that, because rumors have been circulating that our relationship is somehow inappropriate or calculated. So, let me be very clear. The room was utterly silent now. Cameras flashed. People leaned forward. Tamara Hayes is brilliant, successful, and the best thing that's happened to me in years. Our age difference, which is 12 years, for anyone counting, is irrelevant. What matters is that she challenges me to be better, supports my vision for this company, and makes me believe in things I'd stopped believing in. Harrison's voice was strong, unwavering. So yes, we're together. Yes, I'm proud of it. And yes, Anyone who has a problem with that can talk to me directly, instead of spreading rumors designed to hurt someone I care deeply about. He let that statement hang in the air for a moment, then smiled and returned to his presentation like he hadn't just declared his feelings in front of 300 people and the press. Tamara sat frozen, her heart racing, tears threatening to spill over. He'd done it. He'd stood up in front of everyone who mattered to his career and defended her, claimed her, made it impossible for anyone to question his commitment. After the presentation, during the networking portion, people approached Tamara differently, with respect, with genuine interest. Several investors asked about her expansion plans, about whether she'd considered franchising, about the business model that had made her so successful. Marcus found her near the dessert table, grinning. "My brother just made a very public declaration," Marcus said. "How are you feeling? Like I might throw up or cry or both?" Tamara pressed a hand to her chest. "He didn't tell me he was going to do that. That's Harrison. When he commits to something, he goes all in." Marcus's expression softened. "He really loves you, you know. I've never seen him like this with anyone." "I love him too," Tamara admitted out loud for the first time. "God help me. I love him." "Then tell him. He deserves to hear it." Harrison found her an hour later, after most of the investors had left, after the press had gotten their photos and quotes, after the buzz had died down to a manageable level. "Hey," he said, slightly nervous. "Was that too much? I didn't plan it. But when I was up there talking about the business, all I could think about was you, and how proud I am that you're here, and—" Tamara kissed him, right there in the convention center, in front of remaining stragglers and his employees, and anyone who might be watching. She kissed him like he was oxygen, like he was everything, like she'd finally stopped being afraid. When they broke apart, Harrison looked dazed. "What was that for? For being brave enough to stand up there and tell the truth? For defending me? For making me believe this is real?" Tamara cupped his face. "I love you. I should have said it before, but I was scared. But I'm done being scared. I love you, Harrison Cole." His smile could have lit up the entire building. "Say it again. I love you." Again. "I love you, you ridiculous man." Harrison laughed, pulled her close, buried his face in her neck. "I love you too. So much. God, Tamara, I love you so much." They stood there, holding each other in the middle of the convention center, and Tamara felt something fundamental shift. She wasn't just choosing not to be scared. She was choosing to be happy, choosing to believe in love again. Choosing him, and he was choosing her right back. 3 months later, Sweet Rise Bakery was busier than Tamara had ever seen it. The publicity from Harrison's investors meeting had created unexpected demand. Charleston Magazine wanted a feature, food bloggers were posting reviews, and corporate clients were placing orders for events. Tamara had hired 2 more employees and was seriously considering that second location Beverly kept pushing her toward. "You're going to need a bigger kitchen," Harrison said one Tuesday morning, watching her coordinate the chaos with practiced efficiency. "Have you thought about the building on King Street? It's bigger, better location." "I'm not ready for that yet." "Okay." Harrison sipped his coffee, completely unfazed by her immediate rejection. "But when you are ready, I know a real estate agent who owes me a favor." That was the thing about Harrison. He offered support without pressure, suggestions without demands. He'd learned when to push and when to step back, just like she'd learned when to let him in and when to ask for space. They'd settled into something that felt less like falling and more like flying, exhilarating but grounded, passionate but comfortable. He still showed up at the bakery every Tuesday. She still went to his place every Friday for dinner that he'd cook himself, refusing her offers to bring food from the bakery. They'd developed routines, inside jokes, a shared language that came from actually knowing each other. "Are we still on for dinner with Ayanna and Marcus tonight?" Harrison asked. "Yes, but I need to warn you my daughter wants to interrogate you about your intentions." "I have very honorable intentions." "She doesn't believe you." "Smart woman." Harrison grinned, then checked his watch. "I have a meeting downtown. I'll pick you up at 7. "I can drive myself." "I know you can, but I like picking you up. Humor me." He kissed her goodbye, quick and familiar and perfect, then headed out, leaving Tamara smiling at his back. "You two are disgustingly cute," Keisha observed. "It's like watching a romance movie but with more bread puns." "We don't make that many bread puns." "Last week he called you the yeast of his worries." "That's a bread pun." "That was one time. He said you were on a roll." "Okay, fine. We make a lot of bread puns." Beverly called at lunch with gossip that made Tamara actually laugh out loud. "Kenneth's girlfriend left him," Beverly announced with undisguised glee. "Apparently, She got tired of him comparing her to you. Specifically, she got tired of him talking about how well you're doing, how happy you look, how he made a mistake letting you go. He said that? Janet heard it directly from his paralegal. He's been a mess since that investors meeting. Watching Harrison claim you publicly, watching you succeed, watching you be happy, it's killing him. Tamara should have felt vindicated, should have felt satisfied that Kenneth was finally experiencing consequences. Instead, she mostly felt nothing. Kenneth was her past. Harrison was her present, and possibly her future. What her ex-husband thought or felt didn't matter anymore. Good for his girlfriend, Tamara said. She deserves better than someone who won't let go of the past. Look at you, being all emotionally mature and evolved. I'm trying. How are things with Harrison? Really? Tamara glanced around the bakery, busy but manageable. Her employees handling customers with easy competence. The smell of fresh bread filling the air. Then she thought about Harrison, about how he looked at her like she was the best thing he'd ever found, about how he'd stood in front of hundreds of people and declared his feelings without hesitation. Really good, Tamara said honestly. Better than I ever thought possible. I'm so happy for you, Beverly said, her voice warm. You deserve this, Tamara. All of it. Dinner with Ayanna and Marcus was at a new Italian restaurant downtown. Ayanna spent the first 20 minutes grilling Harrison about his 5-year plan, his commitment level, and whether he understood what it meant to date someone with a family. Ayanna, Tamara said, mortified. He's not applying for a job. He's dating my mother. That requires an interview. Ayanna turned back to Harrison, undeterred. So, 5-year plan? Honestly, Harrison set down his wine glass, his expression serious. In 5 years, I see Cole Technologies expanding into international markets. I see your mom opening at least 2 more bakery locations. I see us building something together, not just a relationship, but a life. Hopefully one that includes Sunday dinners with you and Marcus, holidays with family, and me continuing to embarrass your mom with bread puns. What about marriage? Ayanna asked bluntly. Ayanna, Tamara wanted to sink through the floor. It's okay, Harrison said, his hand finding Tamara's under the table. I think about it. A lot, actually. But that's a conversation your mum and I need to have privately first. Ayanna studied him for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, good answer. You can keep dating my mum. Thank God, Harrison said dryly. I was worried there for a minute. Marcus laughed. She did the same thing to me. Made me fill out an actual questionnaire about my intentions. You did not, Tamara said. I absolutely did, Ayanna confirmed. And Marcus passed with flying colors. So far, Harrison's doing pretty well too. After dinner, Harrison drove Tamara home, his hand resting on her thigh, comfortable and familiar. I'm sorry about Ayanna, Tamara said. She shouldn't have asked about marriage. Why not? It's a reasonable question. Harrison glanced at her, then back to the road. And for the record, she's not the only one thinking about it. Tamara's heart skipped. Harrison, I'm not proposing right now, if that's what's making you panic. But I do think about it. About what forever looks like with you. He pulled into her driveway, turned to face her. Is that something you think about too? Or is it too soon? She should say it was too soon. They'd only been together 4 months. They were still figuring each other out. Still learning how to navigate the age difference and the public attention and all the complications that came with their relationship. But then she thought about Tuesday mornings at the bakery, about Friday dinners at his place, about the way he'd stood up for her when it mattered most. She thought about how he made her laugh, challenged her thinking, supported her dreams without trying to control them. She thought about how safe she felt with him, how seen, how loved. I think about it, Tamara admitted quietly. More than I probably should. Good. Harrison's smile was soft, intimate. Then we're on the same page. But Harrison, marriage it's a huge step, and with the age difference, people have been talking since the day we met. They'll keep talking regardless of what we do. He cupped her face gently. I don't care about any of that. I only care about you, about us, about building something real. The rest is just noise. Tamara leaned into his touch, letting herself believe it. When did you get so wise? I'm not wise. I just know what I want. Harrison pulled her closer, kissed her thoroughly. And what I want is you. Forever. If you'll have me. That sounds like a proposal. It's a statement of intent. The actual proposal will be much better, I promise. Despite the weight of the conversation, Tamara laughed. You're ridiculous. You love it. I do. She kissed him again. I really do. 2 weeks later, Tamara arrived at the bakery to find Kenneth Hayes waiting outside. Her first instinct was to turn around, to avoid the confrontation. But she was done running from hard things. "Kenneth," she said, unlocking the door. "What are you doing here? I wanted to talk. Can I come in?" She should say no. Should protect herself from whatever game he was playing. But curiosity won out. "5 minutes," Tamara said. "I have work to do." Inside, surrounded by the smell of yesterday's bread and tomorrow's possibilities, Kenneth looked out of place. Smaller somehow, less important than he'd seemed when he'd controlled her entire world. "I made a mistake," Kenneth said without preamble. "Leaving you. I made a terrible mistake, and I've been trying to figure out how to say that for months." Tamara stared at him. "Kenneth, I know about Harrison. I know you're happy. I've seen the photos, the press coverage, the way he looks at you." Kenneth's voice cracked slightly, "And I realized that's how I should have looked at you. That's how I should have treated you, but I was too stupid and too selfish to see what I had." "You're right. You were." Tamara kept her voice calm, neutral. "But that's not my problem anymore." "I know. I'm not asking you to take me back. I needed you to know that I'm sorry. For all of it. For making you feel like you weren't enough when the truth was that I wasn't enough for you." It was the apology she'd needed 3 years ago. The validation she'd craved during all those months of wondering what she'd done wrong. And now, standing here with Kenneth finally admitting his failures, Tamara felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, just a calm certainty that she'd moved on completely. "Thank you for saying that," Tamara said. "I mean it. But Kenneth, that apology was for you, not for me. I stopped needing it months ago. Because of Harrison. Because of me." Tamara met his eyes steadily. "I built a life without you. A good life. A successful business. A strong relationship with my daughter. Friendships that matter. Harrison is part of that life now, yes. But I was already whole before he showed up. He just made everything brighter." Kenneth nodded slowly. "He's a lucky man. I'm a lucky woman." Tamara moved toward the door, a clear dismissal. "I hope you find what you're looking for, Kenneth. I really do. But it's not with me." That chapter's closed. After he left, Tamara stood in her bakery, sunlight streaming through the windows, and felt the last piece of her past click into place. She wasn't the woman Kenneth had left. She wasn't even the woman who'd started this bakery 3 years ago, desperate and determined. She was someone new, someone stronger, someone who knew her worth and wasn't afraid to claim it. Her phone buzzed with a text from Harrison. "Harrison, good morning, beautiful. I'm thinking about you. Also thinking about those cinnamon rolls. Mostly you, though. Okay, 60% you, 40% cinnamon rolls." Tamara. "Only 60%? Harrison, you're right. 70 over 30. That's my final offer." Tamara. "I love you." Harrison. "I love you too. See you Tuesday?" Tamara. "You know you don't have to keep coming every Tuesday. You've made your point." Harrison. "My point was that I love spending time with you. That point remains valid. Tuesday, 8 a.m. I'll bring the coffee if you save me a cinnamon roll." Tamara. "Deal." Keisha arrived a few minutes later, took one look at Tamara's face, and grinned. "You look happy." "I am," Tamara said, and meant it completely. "I really am." 6 months after the investors' meeting, Harrison took Tamara to the beach, the same beach where they'd had their third date, where she'd admitted she was scared of getting hurt, and he'd promised to be patient. They walked along the shoreline as the sun set, painting everything gold and orange and impossibly beautiful. Harrison was quieter than usual, almost nervous, which made Tamara nervous too. "What's wrong?" she finally asked. "Nothing's wrong. Everything's actually perfect, which is why I'm terrified of screwing this up." Harrison stopped walking, turned to face her. "Tamara, we need to talk." Her stomach dropped. Those 4 words, "we need to talk," never meant anything good. "Okay," she said carefully. "I've been thinking about what Ayana asked at dinner. About 5-year plans and marriage and the future." Harrison took both her hands. "And I realized that I don't want to wait 5 years. I don't want to be cautious or strategic or smart about this." Harrison. "I'm 36 years old. I've built companies, made millions, achieved everything I thought I wanted, and none of it means anything compared to how I feel when I'm with you." He squeezed her hands. "You make me laugh. You challenge me. You support my dreams while building your own. You're brilliant and beautiful and brave, and I wake up every morning grateful that you chose me back." Tamara's eyes filled with tears. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that I don't care about the age difference. I don't care what people think. I don't care that we've only been together 9 months and some people will say it's too fast. Harrison let go of her hands, reached into his pocket, and pulled out a small velvet box. I only care about you, about us, about building a life together. He dropped to one knee in the sand, and Tamara's breath stopped. Tamara Hayes, Harrison said, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. Will you marry me? She should be practical, should point out all the reasons this was crazy, the age gap, the speed, the complications. But looking at Harrison kneeling in front of her, the sunset painting him gold, she couldn't remember a single one. Yes, Tamara said, tears streaming down her face. Yes, I'll marry you. Harrison's smile was brilliant, relieved, joyful. He slipped the ring onto her finger, a simple emerald surrounded by diamonds, elegant and perfect, then stood and pulled her into a kiss that tasted like salt air and tears and promise. I love you, he murmured against her lips. God, I love you so much. I love you too. Tamara laughed through her tears. This is insane. Completely insane, Harrison agreed. And perfect, just like us. They stood on the beach as the sun set completely, holding each other, and Tamara felt something she hadn't felt in years, absolute certainty that she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Her phone rang. Beverly, of course, with timing only a best friend could have. Did he do it? Beverly demanded. Did he propose? I've been dying all day, Marcus told me. Harrison was planning something. He did, Tamara said, unable to stop smiling. I said yes. Beverly's shriek was loud enough that Harrison could hear it. He laughed, took the phone, put it on speaker. She said yes, Beverly, Harrison confirmed. We're engaged. Finally. Oh my God, finally. I'm calling everyone. Wait, does Ayana know? Not yet, Tamara said. We're calling her next. After they hung up, Harrison pulled Tamara close again, his chin resting on top of her head. Are you happy? He asked quietly. I'm terrified, Tamara admitted. And happy. And excited. And still a little terrified. Good. Me too. Harrison kissed the top of her head. But we'll figure it out. Together. Together. Tamara agreed. And for the first time in 3 years, she believed it completely. 1 year later, Tamara stood in the kitchen of Sweet Rise Bakery's second location, watching the morning rush through the window that separated the kitchen from the retail space. The King Street location was 3 times the size of the original, with enough ovens to handle wholesale contracts with a dozen restaurants, enough retail space to showcase the full range of products, and enough staff that Tamara could actually take a day off occasionally. Not that she did, but she could, which felt revolutionary. Mrs. Cole, Keisha called from the front, still strange to hear that name. Even 6 months after the wedding, your husband's here with coffee. Tamara wiped flour from her hands, smiled at the casual way Keisha said your husband, like it was the most natural thing in the world, which, somehow, it had become. Harrison stood at the counter looking slightly rumpled in jeans and a Henley, holding 2 cups from the coffee shop down the street. He'd learned months ago that Tamara preferred their espresso to his, had stopped being offended about it, and now just showed up with coffee like the world's most attractive delivery service. Morning, beautiful, Harrison said, handing her a cup. How's the new oven working out? Perfectly. You were right about the convection settings. I'm going to need that in writing. Tamara laughed, kissed him quick across the counter. What are you doing here? I thought you had meetings all morning. Rescheduled. I wanted to see you. Harrison glanced around the busy bakery, the customers lined up, the display case full of breads and pastries. This place is incredible, Tamara. You should be so proud. We should be proud, she corrected. You helped make this happen. I wrote a check and connected you with a real estate agent. You did everything else. It was true, mostly. Harrison had provided capital for the expansion, had introduced her to people who could help, but he'd been careful never to take over, never to make Sweet Rise feel like his project instead of hers. He'd learned exactly how much support to offer without smothering her independence, just like she'd learned how to let him help without feeling like she was losing herself. Want to have lunch later? Harrison asked. There's a new place on the waterfront Marcus keeps recommending. Can't. I have a meeting with the distributor about the Charleston School District contract. The what now? I forgot to tell you we got approved to supply bread to all the public schools. It's huge, Harrison. We're talking about providing fresh bread to thousands of kids every day. Harrison's smile was proud, genuine. That's amazing. Congratulations. It's also terrifying. I need to hire at least 4 more people, possibly expand production. You'll figure it out. You always do. Harrison checked his watch. I should let you work. Dinner tonight? I'll cook. You always cook. Because you always say my cooking is terrible and then eat 3 helpings. Your cooking is adequate at best. Adequate enough that you married me. I married you for the health insurance. Liar. Harrison leaned across the counter, kissed her properly this time. I love you. Love you too. Now get out of my bakery. You're distracting my employees. He left laughing, and Tamara watched him go, still slightly amazed that this was her life now. That evening, Tamara arrived home to find their house, the one they'd bought together 6 months ago, splitting ownership exactly down the middle, despite Harrison's protests that he could afford to pay for it outright, filled with the smell of something burning. Harrison, she called, setting down her purse. Don't come in the kitchen. Harrison's voice was panicked. I've got it under control, which meant he absolutely did not have it under control. Tamara found him standing over the stove, smoke alarm blaring, waving a towel at something that might have once been chicken. Okay, Harrison said, shutting off the alarm. So dinner is ruined. But in my defense, I got distracted thinking about the investors' call this afternoon and forgot I was cooking. You forgot you were cooking. It happens. To normal people? No. To you? Apparently yes. Tamara surveyed the damaged one-destroyed pan, several ruined chicken breasts, and what looked like an attempt at roasted vegetables that had turned into charcoal. How about we order pizza? I was trying to make something impressive. Why? Because. Harrison turned off the stove, faced her properly. Because you had this huge win today with the school contract, and I wanted to celebrate properly, and instead I've proven that I still can't cook, despite a year of practice. Tamara crossed to him, wrapped her arms around his waist. The fact that you tried to celebrate my win with burnt chicken is more romantic than any perfect dinner could be. You're just saying that because you don't have to eat it. I'm saying it because it's true. She pulled back to look at him. Harrison, you show up at my bakery every Tuesday even though you hate early mornings. You connected me with investors without trying to control my business decisions. You bragged about my school contract to your board members before I even told you it was official, Marcus texted me. By the way, you're proud of me. That matters more than whether you can cook. I am proud of you. Harrison cupped her face. Every single day, I'm proud of you. I know. That's why I married you. Well, that and the health insurance. You're never going to let that joke die, are you? Never. They ordered pizza, ate it on the couch, Tamara's feet in Harrison's lap, talking about their days like they'd been doing this forever instead of just a year. She told him about the distributor meeting, the logistics of school contracts, her plans to hire more staff. He told her about the international expansion that was finally moving forward, about the investors who were impressed but demanding, about how he'd spent half his afternoon defending small business owners to people who thought scale was the only thing that mattered. You're good at that, Tamara said, remembering why you started Cold Technologies in the first place. You keep me grounded. You remind me what matters. Someone has to. Later, as they got ready for bed, Tamara caught sight of herself in the bathroom mirror. She was 49 now, would be 50 in 6 months. Grey threads were more prominent in her natural curls. Lines around her eyes had deepened. Her body showed every year she'd lived, every experience she'd survived. And she looked happy. Genuinely, radiantly happy. Harrison appeared behind her in the mirror, wrapped his arms around her waist, rested his chin on her shoulder. What are you thinking about? He asked. About how different my life looks from what I thought it would be. Tamara leaned back into him. A year ago, I was terrified of getting hurt, of not being enough, of you waking up and realizing you'd made a mistake. And now I know that was never about you. It was about me not believing I deserved this. She turned in his arms, faced him properly. But I do deserve this. Deserve you. Deserve to be happy. Yes, you do. Harrison kissed her forehead, though for the record, I'm the lucky one. You took a chance on a younger guy who couldn't cook and had a problematic relationship with bread puns. You still have a problematic relationship with bread puns. It's part of my charm. It's really not. Harrison laughed, pulled her toward the bedroom. Come on, let's go to bed. You have that early distributor meeting tomorrow, and you have that board call. We're very important, successful people, with very boring responsibilities. Want to do something completely irresponsible instead? Tamara raised an eyebrow. Like what? Like forget about meetings and distributors and board calls, and just spend the whole day in bed watching terrible movies and eating leftover pizza. We can't do that. We're adults with commitments. We absolutely can do that. That's the benefit of being the boss. Harrison pulled her close. What do you say? One day of being completely irresponsible. Tamara thought about her schedule, about the distributor meeting she could reschedule, about the 100 things that needed her attention. Then she thought about Harrison's smile, about how rare it was to have a whole day with nothing planned, about how short life was, and how important it was to take joy where you found it. "Okay," she said. "One day. But I'm picking the movies." "Deal." They spent the next day exactly as planned in bed, eating leftover pizza, watching horror movies that made Tamara jump and Harrison laugh at her reactions. They talked about everything and nothing. They made love slowly, tenderly, like they had all the time in the world. They existed in a bubble separate from responsibilities and deadlines and all the things that usually filled their days. And when the sun set, when reality began creeping back in, Tamara lay in Harrison's arms and felt overwhelmingly grateful for every choice that had led her here. "Hey," Harrison said softly, playing with her curls. "Can I tell you something?" "Always. That day at Ayana's wedding, when I asked you to dance, I was terrified." "You were?" Tamara propped herself up on one elbow. "You seemed so confident." "I was faking it. I'd been watching you all evening, trying to find the courage to approach you, convinced you'd say no." Harrison's eyes were soft in the dim light. "But you said yes, and that one dance changed my entire life." "Mine too," Tamara whispered. "I know we joke about bread puns and terrible cooking and all the silly things, but Tamara, you need to know you're it for me. You're everything I didn't know I was looking for, and I will spend the rest of my life grateful that you took a chance on us." Tamara's eyes filled with tears. "We took a chance on us, both of us. Best decision I ever made." "Me too." They fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other, the future stretching out before them, full of Tuesday morning bakery visits and burnt dinners and wholesale contracts and international expansions, and all the beautiful, ordinary, extraordinary moments that made a life. Outside their window, Charleston slept. Inside, two people who'd found each other at exactly the right moment, despite age differences and public scrutiny and all the logical reasons it shouldn't have worked, held on to each other and the love they'd built together. And in the morning, they'd wake up and do it all again. Together. What would you rate this story? Drop 0 to 10 inches the comments right now. If this story moved you, hit subscribe for more emotional journeys every week. And if it truly touched your heart, consider leaving a super. Thanks, your support helps us create more stories like this. Every contribution, big or small, means the world. Ready for the next story? It's even more dramatic than this one. Click now. Thank you for being part of this journey.